Hello, pet sustainability community. I'm grateful to be here sharing with you all virtually. I'm Deanna Bratter, Head of Sustainable Development for Danone North America. And today I am here to share with you some examples of how health, wellness, food justice, and purpose can live and thrive together in one business with a unique model focused both on growth and also on impact. I hope to leave you with some inspiration as well as some ideas that might help enable you to activate in these important spaces. I'm going to start with a short overview of Danone so you can get a sense of who the business is, our size and scale, and how we operate. Some of the best opportunity to learn hopefully comes from business cases and examples, and that's what I'm going to share with you. Danone North America is part of Danone, a $26 billion business based in France. And we were founded in 1919 in Spain, a year after the Spanish flu, which has been top of mind for many lately. And the founder, Isaac Carasso, observed many Spanish children suffering from intestinal infections, discomfort, and really leaned into the research around lactic ferments by Nobel laureate Ilya Mechnikov. And he decided to introduce yogurt for its health benefits specifically. And it was a very early example of a consumer product for sale that was really geared toward health and wellness. As the company evolved over the past 100 years, we have a mission that is to bring health through food to as many people as possible. And with this, a vision around One Planet, One Health, which strives to integrate and look at the interconnectivity of health of people and health of the planet. When we look at the broader business, we've got quite a footprint in North America with over 15 manufacturing facilities across the US. And we aim to make sustainable, healthy products available to all and help nourish people's lives through our products and our branded products. We have more than 5,200 employees in the US, and over the majority of them are in our manufacturing facilities. We have a wide portfolio of products. Hopefully some of these you've seen in your refrigerator recently, and we offer many on-the-go options as well as large size for at-home use. When it comes to our mission and vision and how that starts to show up in the world, what you see here on the left is the Danone 2030 global goals and business model, and on the right, the UN Sustainable Development Goals. We look to the Sustainable Development Goals as a guide to ensure that the impact we're striving to have is going to be meaningful to both social, communities, and environment along the way. So you'll see throughout this presentation how the Sustainable Development Goals intersect with the business strategy. I want to jump in and start talking about the principle or the idea that we have here at Danone, which is we believe that each time we eat and drink, we vote for the world we want to live in. That means that our products are really our key opportunity and the way that we can engage with both customers and retailers, as well as consumers who buy our products and look to us for our values. When we talk about health and wellness, we really can't just view it as a one-size-fits-all concept. Health and wellness means something very different to each and every person. So when we start talking about health, we're talking about a state of being, whereas wellness can often mean a state of living or lifestyle. Health often refers to that physical, mental, and social well-being, where wellness aims to enhance that overall well-being. Health and wellness are incredibly important to our business. And with the unique time that we're faced with, the entire global population navigating a pandemic, that has led us to this virtual conference and many other new ways of working and interacting. We know that COVID-19 has resulted in a shift on how we view our health, how we engage with eating and drinking and with the communities around us. The transformation that this has led to really leads us to a conversation around how business should adapt as well. And so what role does business play in providing nutrition and healthier options to consumers? There is a lot of challenges on the horizon in this space. From a portfolio perspective, we have a broad variety of products that look at areas such as smart calories, Greek protein, probiotic health, low sugar options, organic, non-GMO, and plant-based offerings. And we really are trying to appeal to the flexitarian diet of consumers and create a lot of unique options and choices where we can meet consumers both on their health journey, on their wellness journey, and also on their price point, in acknowledging the economic variability in consumers and the economic variability over time, specifically where at times where job loss is at an all-time high in our country. We also look at our health and wellness platform through healthier eating and drinking habits. And there's 3 pillars that you can see here, which include better products, better choices, and the idea of better health, or one health for all. So the idea is nutrition and the nutritional components of our products are key. We work to increase the balance of our portfolio and also expand the range of products we offer. Better choices really speaks to healthier alternatives. So what can you choose instead of a high sugar option or a high fat option? And then inspiring healthy habits through programs, services, education, and engagement. We try to be really transparent with the ingredients and the processes, as well as the sourcing in our products. And the idea here is that we can demonstrate positive impacts on our consumption habits and create high quality diets for all. There's also an element here of indulgence, which you'll see in a lot of our portfolio, where it's not nutrition core, but it really speaks to flavors and alternatives to other options to make more sustainable choices. And you'll see that through some of the case studies I'm going to provide going forward. I want to touch a little bit on the topic of food justice and really starting to think about the structural view of the food system that sees healthy food as a human right and addresses the structural barriers to equal access to that right. Affordability influences access to foods that support healthy eating patterns. And research shows that low-income groups tend to rely on foods that are cheaper and convenient, and often are low in nutrient density. We need to change that. Studies show the relationship between the inability to access food that supports healthy eating patterns and negative health outcomes, which means the more unhealthy or less healthy foods we provide, the more we are impacting negative health outcomes for those people. About 3/4 of the population has an eating pattern that is low in vegetables, fruits, dairy, and oils. So systemically, we need to increase the availability of fresh foods and products to people at all income levels, and really need to reframe how we use and think about the role of business, particularly CPG companies, in a post-pandemic society. What we know today is that in addition to job loss and unemployment at an all-time high, food insecurity is also at an all-time high, with 1 in 6 suffering from some level of food insecurity in their households. So what types of things are we doing to address these challenges, and maybe what can you do? One of the core pieces is using our business as a force for good at a fundamental level. And this starts to get into a conversation around our business model. And we have several areas of our business model, including how we innovate and bring nutritious, healthy products to people, how we drive sustainable, profitable growth, and how that all comes together under a governance model known as becoming a certified B Corp. When we look at the issues of food justice and food insecurity, we know that we have a role to play. So far in the pandemic, we've donated over $1.5 million through donations as well as food into our communities, and I'll give you some more examples of that. As a certified B Corp, we really take this phrase that you see here seriously: people using business as a force for good. We believe that the mission of B Corp in terms of redefining success in business to one that serves all stakeholders, not just shareholders, and one that serves the long term and not just short-term profitability goals, can ensure that we put resiliency and stability not only in our business, but bring it to life through our people and the environment. We rely on a lot of people to bring to life our products, to grow and cultivate our ingredients, and to innovate and create our healthy products. This stakeholder approach helps us be able to have a holistic view of who our products impact and who our business is impacted by. To provide some context in terms of how we use B Corp to approach our business, I'm going to take you through a little bit about what it means to be a B Corp, what it is, and how you can engage even if you're not seeking certification. So B Corps are leaders of this global movement and really using the B Corp logo as a mark of trust, a way to signal that we are a company doing business in a way that meets rigorous standards of social and environmental performance, as well as traceability and transparency. So B Corp certification is conferred by a nonprofit known as B Lab. And I like to use this graphic to summarize all of the things that encompass what it means to be a B Corp, because it's not just a certification. It actually is much more than that. It's an approach. It's an approach to how we can do business, an approach in terms of really focusing in on what our workers need, our communities need, and the environment need in order for us to be able to say that we are best in class and creating important change. It's also a community. The B Corp community is about 3,400 businesses strong, businesses of all sorts. And it is an opportunity and a way for us to connect with other leaders in the movement to ensure best practices, to challenge each other, to learn from each other, and really grow the movement together. It's also unique. Not only are you meeting really high standards set forward in the certification, but you're also making a commitment to transparency because all of your answers are actually published. And it's the only certification of its kind. And lastly, it is a movement, and it really functions like a movement. People using business as a force for good to come together and create change to really define a new way forward for business that engages all stakeholders. I think a lot of people can get lost when we start talking about purpose and we start talking about the need for business growth and how to focus on growth in a increasingly complex industry or society. And so it really gives us a different opportunity to think about the interconnectivity of the two. What makes this certification unique is the opportunity it gives to look across your entire value chain. We're not just looking within our own four walls. We're looking all the way upstream to our sourcing of ingredients and raw materials, and all the way downstream to recycling and end of life of our packaging. And we're not just thinking about what our role as Danone is, we're thinking about the stakeholders that are involved along the way. And that interconnectivity between our governance model, who we are, how we operate, our mission, our vision, and how we communicate that both to our employees and the greater world. We're thinking about people, not just our workers and how we pay them, the benefits we offer, the resources we offer, but also the community that lives and works around our manufacturing locations or the farms where we cultivate and grow our products, our ingredients. And then environment, the inputs, the outputs, and the impact we have from an environmental perspective, which can include energy, waste, water, and other natural resources. And then this customer piece, which really speaks to the value that our business and our products bring to the world. So the important thing to remember here is our suppliers have suppliers who have suppliers. And while our network directly is thousands of suppliers, we are touching many, many more than that throughout the system. And if we can start inspiring and thinking about the impact that we have as a business and that we can create through our supply chain, we can really create an enormous ripple effect. The other piece of this is you don't have to certify to engage with the B Corp model. The certification itself is through what's called the B Impact Assessment. And it's an online tool that is free for anyone to use. And I believe over 80,000 companies have interacted with this tool. And as I mentioned, about 3,400 went on to be certified. What that means is you can use and benefit from the tool. You can see what's being listed as best practices, benchmark, enable you to baseline your business and really look at what areas you want to strive to change and grow from there. And if you get far enough along and you want to consider certification, that's a great thing to do. But the model exists separately from certification so that you can use it as a tool to better your business and learn and grow. There's a few other things that I want to touch on around B Corp, which is the opportunity to build and rethink the governance models of how we make decisions as a business and how those decisions impact both our profitability, success, and growth acceleration, and also how they impact people and planet. Globally, Danone has committed to become a B Corp for the entire global entity by 2025. And as of the end of this year, we are just over 40% of the businesses that achieve this goal. We love to talk about how we at Danone North America are the largest certified B Corp in the world, but we took that title with the hope that we were going to be a catalyst for change and welcome and encourage other large businesses to engage in this model that has previously been a bit challenging. So one of the things we like to do is offer our services through a variety of tools and mentoring programs to enable businesses of all sizes to be able to engage with B Corp. Additionally, we are looking at the impact we have in the world. So I'm going to touch a little bit on our business objective around preserving and renewing the planet's resources. And as you can see, the sustainable development goals that connect with these are many. And then I'm going to talk about how we leverage our brands and connect with customers and consumers on topics such as environmental impact as well as food security and how that comes through our business. So just a quick overview. We have many commitments to the planet. We summarize them in these 4 areas. So fighting climate change, we have a global commitment to become carbon neutral by 2050. We have science-based targets and have many milestones along the way because we believe that climate change is an urgent topic. And through our business, about 2/3 of our footprint is in agriculture and upstream. And so we also see that we have a big role to play in creating unique opportunities to drive soil carbon sequestration and reduce our overall carbon footprint, which you see on the right side there, through regenerative agriculture practices that protect soils and promote animal welfare, economic and empowerment of farmers. As well as really focusing on those environmental benefits such as carbon sequestration. We also have big focus on water, protecting our valuable natural resource and circular economy. And this comes to life in multiple ways, including through packaging and our commitment to have 100% recyclable, compostable or reusable packaging by 2025, and also in the circularity of food. The statistics are pretty incredible there that over 1/3 of food grown is wasted, while 1 in 8 and now recently 1 in 6 are hungry. If we're growing that much food, we've got to do a better job of getting it to the people who need it at a systemic level. We also have a lot of commitments when it comes to our environmental focus areas. Sourcing segregated palm oil or specific ingredients that show up in our products through a variety of certifications from organic, non-GMO project verified, segregated sustainable palm oil, and more. We have a commitment to zero deforestation, which shows up across topic areas or risk areas such as palm oil, fiber, paper, and soy. And then, as I mentioned, a commitment to packaging. Renewable energy is a big one where we have already achieved 100% renewable energy for all of our manufacturing facilities across the US. And investing in the carbon cycle and in the water and renewability cycles. I'll give you a few more examples here, which is how we show up through Manifesto Brands. We use the word purpose quite a lot. And at Danone, we think about purpose through the lens of Manifesto Brands. This brand model is tailored to look at our brands through the eyes of our consumers and really links back to that idea that they are voting for the world they want to live in. They are using their dollars with every purchase to support companies who share their values. And what you can see here from these statistics is brand purpose and business values do matter to consumers. And Even in the pandemic, the latest research is showing a lot of consistency in this numbers, that consumers are still looking to change consumption habits to align with the impact they want to make, both on the environment and in supporting companies who match their values. We are continuing to develop and embed purpose in the fundamentals and the core of each of our businesses and each of our brands. We have roughly 20 here in North America. And we refer to Manifesto Brands as brands that have identified their reason for being, their core why that connects with both their consumer and their product, and really acts to realize a positive change in the world that's unique and brings a unique point of view. Not only delivering an exciting experience to people through these incredible products, but also really ensuring that we have a meaningful and impactful positive impact on health of people and health of the planet. And that's going to look differently for each of the brands. To be a Manifesto brand in our business, you have to have a strong point of view, you have to have a strong purpose, and you have to really justify credibility in making impact in order to be able to tell those stories and market, because we want to create that credibility and authenticity in the program. You also have to have a commitment to help improve the health of people, as well as the health of the planet, through either a social impact or an environmental impact lens. The examples that we have are hopefully going to help bring that to life for you. So the first one is our Horizon Organic brand. Just this year, earlier this year, Horizon Organic announced a new platform called the Next Frontier Project, and with it, a commitment to be carbon positive by 2025. Now, Horizon Organic is the #1 dairy brand in the US, and it was introduced to the market almost 30 years ago as an organic dairy option, really before organic was as prevalent and mainstream as it is today. And early in the development of the USDA creation of the organic standard itself. The commitment that we have is really tied to our goals and objectives to be a pioneer. We started the space of organic dairy, and we want to continue to advance the organic industry, not just creating great tasting, great value organic product, but really looking to understand the impact that Horizon has and the opportunity Horizon has to define a different and even better way to look at agriculture and the impact that dairy has on agriculture. Dairy, and well, I should say agriculture as a whole, is responsible for about 10% of the emissions in the US. The total carbon emissions in the US. So agriculture plays a really big role. And we know that through our work with Horizon, we can have a powerful impact on what that looks like in how we create product, not just in the cultivation and growing of the crops, but also in how we treat our animals, animal welfare, looking for innovation in the feed for cows, their access to pasture, and all of the ways we can support them, not just from a general health perspective, but from an enrichment perspective that also seeks to drive down carbon. And then the other piece is farmer care and safety. Safety is and always has been a huge focus of the program, as well as animal welfare, but really looking at unique ways where we can pioneer this effort around carbon positive and regenerative soil in partnership with our farmers. Horizon works with more than 600 organic farmers across the US, and we know that this is a learning journey for everyone, that regenerative agriculture, rebuilding the soil and enriching the soil to sequester the most amount of carbon possible, will not only help from an environmental perspective, but also has the opportunity to create economic opportunity for farmers. And our goal is to ensure that we're partnering with farmers on this journey. As part of this program, we created a farmer investment fund with more than $15 million so that we can co-invest in the types of projects and programs that we believe will be helpful in driving this transformation. And when it comes to the farm directly, that can include things like cover cropping or changing low and no-till practices, manure management, all sorts of fun work within the dairy brand specifically, and the dairy agricultural cycle specifically, to help make that transformation from feed to farm to glass, and really creating the first ever carbon positive dairy opportunity. Next, I want to share with you about one of our whoops, about one of our plant-based products. Let's see if I can get my slides to comply, which is So Delicious dairy-free. So this is a product and a brand that is really focused on bringing delicious, allergen-free product to consumers through indulgent types of products, including ice creams, ice cream sandwiches, delicious coconut milk yogurt alternative, and creamers for your coffee. The work that So Delicious is currently doing is really focused on social impact. And this project that I have here to share with you today is newly launching, and it is around the well-being of farmers and profitability of those farmers in partnership with a local nonprofit, IRDF, in the Philippines. Coconuts are our #1 ingredient, and we are focused on transforming our coconut supply chain into one that really serves the farmers at the center. And so the idea here is that it has 3 main pillars: social impact, with a goal to increase farmer profitability and farmer income by 100% over 5 years. The second piece is around environmental impact, where you see the theme of regenerative agriculture coming in again, and improving not just the yield and the farming practices to increase profitability for the farmers, but also things like intercropping and biodiversity over more than 3,700 acres in the Philippines. And the third piece is through transparency, having a direct trade model, being able to be transparent about where the coconuts are coming from, as well as be able to tell the farmer stories and work with them over time as their livelihoods and income improves. So the idea here is that it creates a really meaningful supply chain in partnership with important and connected NGOs, and that we can really show how So Delicious cares for every individual who brings the product to life, from the farms to the manufacturing plants, to the offices and beyond. The third one I want to share with you is a new brand. Too Good is a Greek yogurt brand which features 2 grams of sugar, and it's brought to life through a unique first ever slow straining process that basically creates the first ever low sugar yogurt in the market. It has 80% less sugar than the market average of Greek yogurts. And we also knew, right when this brand launched just about 2 years ago, that at its core, Too Good believes that they can do more with less, bring delicious taste with less sugar, but also bring really meaningful impact. And the mission that they're focused on is to address one of the biggest issues facing the US today, which is food insecurity. There's also, as I mentioned, a significant amount of food waste taking place and continuing to be exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. The brand embarked on this journey to help reduce food waste and redirect it to those facing food insecurity. So instead of just reducing waste or just focus on food insecurity, Too Good has launched these innovative programs which really bring together those 2 issues. Earlier this year, Too Good donated 100% of its profits made during Earth Week with certain retailers to food recovery organizations, including City Harvest and We Don't Waste, and then went on to launch the yogurt industry's first 1-for-1 program, which we refer to as 1 cup less hunger. And the idea here is for every cup of Too Good you purchase, we recover and then donate that equal amount to someone in need. And the idea there is not just about giving back, but really rescuing that wasted food and ensuring that it gets to someone in need. We estimate the annual impact of the 1-for-1 program is going to be about 37 million meals provided to those who need it, and additionally 61 million pounds diverted from the landfill, which is pretty powerful for a small little startup but fast growing brand. Too Good is also taking this opportunity and will be soon launching a new platform which is called Too Good Good Save. And the idea here is a product that is made with verified rescue fruit. So at the farm level, food and fruit specifically that is unsold or unwasted is captured, and this is perfectly good product, but we are preventing it from going to the landfill. So you'll see more about this Good Save product, which will be out on shelves in March. The last thing I wanted to touch on is sort of going back to the idea of partners. Danone is a large company, and we do a lot, as you can see from this presentation. But what we also know is that we can't do it alone, and we are not experts. We look to experts through an incredible variety of stakeholders in policy, in government, and across nonprofits to help guide us and partner to create the change that we want to see. The sustainable development goals in these areas that we work with across social and environment are really supported by incredible agencies and nonprofits where we can partner, build coalitions, and work together to create change. So that external model, and really acknowledging that we don't have all the answers. We are not perfect, though we do a lot. We are on a journey, and it's a journey of transformation. And so partnership models are incredible and definitely something that I recommend engaging in to really leverage those experts as you're building programs and platforms and looking at the ways you can uniquely make change. The last piece I want to touch on is our people. So when it comes to topics of health and wellness through our products, when it comes to topics like food security and the impact that we can have through our brands, we also know that we are only as successful as the people within our business. And we have a variety of programs all the time, but specifically a few programs to highlight in recent days that I'd like to share with you. So some of these are new and we'll be hearing more about in the coming weeks. But Danone offers a comprehensive parental leave bonding leave policy, which is available to moms and dads, any parent of any gender, and can be taken any time in the first year of a baby's life, and provides up to 18 weeks of paid leave. And what I think really sets this apart is it is available to not just our salaried and office employees, but our entire hourly population, including our manufacturing plants. We really see this as a valuable opportunity to continue bringing the values and the impact we want to the people in our community and across Danone North America. We also offer really great benefits like a flexible time off policy. So you can use whatever days you need to fit your own personal needs. This has been incredible benefit during the pandemic when many of us, myself included, have multiple children home doing remote learning and really needing to trust that we're able to balance our work needs and priorities and our family needs at the same time. Danone launched a really innovative program last year where they provided one share to every employee so that we really are driving ownership of the company, of the governance, of the decision-making to every employee. And that's actually true for the 100,000 people in Danone's broader network and community. Oh, the last piece that I wanted to touch on was the living wage. So really unique, really powerful. Everyone in the organization is paid a living wage, which means that we look specifically at their zip code, at their community, and the location where they work, and ensure that it meets the standard for a living wage. We believe that everyone who works hard and deserves to be able to take home a wage that allows them to care for their housing needs and their food needs. And this is really important as we start looking at the systemic whole of food security, of ensuring that people are not just paid a living wage, that they're paid a minimum wage that enables food security throughout the system. Additionally, through the COVID-19 pandemic over the last many months, our brands have really activated and worked to activate in ways that are unique to them. So Silk donated $150,000 to Feeding America, the equivalent of 1.5 million meals. And then some of our brands really looked for unique ways to meet needs. Evian donated more than 400,000 bottles of water to New York City hospitals and frontline workers. And then Light and Fit, for example, through a partnership, donated $200,000 to the Movement Foundation to help fitness workers who were fitness instructors who were impacted through job loss during the pandemic and the shutdown. And then Activia, for example, is doing work with Rutgers University on the importance of the microbiome, and really looking at this from a technical health perspective of how probiotics can play a role in both recovery and overall health. So that was a lot of information I gave to you all, and I hope that it was valuable. I wanted to come back here and end with this statement again, because it really is, a way that we look at our business and how we operate. And we really believe that the answer to successful business, the answer to growth, can be found in purpose. And that creating change inside your own business, your own organization, starts with an intention to think about how you can redefine success, how it can show up uniquely for your organization, your consumer, the pet lovers, the compassion that you can connect to your consumers on, in order to make every business a business where people can use it as a force for good in the world. Starting from governance, taking a really close look at who you are and how you operate and what you care about and what your employees care about. And think about the impact you have through a growth plus lens, growth plus community impact, growth plus environmental conservation. To know that not just your consumers, but your customers are paying attention to the values of the organization that is behind the product and really looking for you to show up. And that can be the collective starting point. Focus on the good, focus on the value, and take baby steps, one thing at a time, one project at a time, one focus area at a time, one baseline at a time. And I hope that Danone North America serves as an example of where purpose and profit can come together to coexist and deliver strong growth and meaningful impact. There is a lot to be optimistic about now more than ever. Consumer demand is shifting, and I hope each of you takes the opportunity to think about how your business can be a powerful catalyst for change. So thanks for being on this ride with me. Thanks for taking the time to listen, and have a great day.
Welcome back. Wow, Deanna, what an impactful story, and the programs that you have managed to implement on a global scale are inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing those words. I'm really excited that we're going to be having the opportunity to chat with Deanna, ask her some questions. But before I do that, I want to take just a half of a second. And I'm really glad that Deanna actually brought up B-Lab and their partnership with B-Lab and the benefit they've seen through their B Corp certification. Our Pet Sustainability Coalition members know that we have also partnered with B-Lab to offer a sustainability assessment to our members, allowing them to measure their social and environmental performance directly against the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And each PSC member receives a personalized benchmarking and recommendations and road mapping for next steps on their sustainability journey. So I'm thrilled to welcome Deanna live for some Q&A. Deanna, are you with us this morning?
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me. And I think that's a great place to start with the assessment that you make available to all members, because you don't have to become certified. You don't have to go all the way down that path, but starting with an assessment is an incredible opportunity to benchmark and see the opportunities you have for growth for your own organization.
I love that. Thanks for the shout out, Deanna. So I'm going to encourage all of our viewers and attendees to be dropping their questions for Deanna in that chat box, and Caitlin and the team are going to be taking a look at that and asking some of those questions on your behalf. But Deanna, if you don't mind me kicking off the conversation while we get those chat questions in, I'd love the slide that you presented about all of the different initiatives that all of your different brands have been taking in this COVID area. I'd love to know, from your point of view, has COVID and the social justice issues that we've had this year are just kind of the 2020 of it all. How has that conversation been going with your consumers? Do you find kind of a increased demand for sustainability of your consumers? Are they looking for more transparency? Has that really kind of had an effect on those consumer conversations you've been having?
It's an interesting time to be in the food space because, as we know, our frontline workers are in our manufacturing plants. And with the March and April, what we refer to as pantry loading, even if it's going in your refrigerator, sales and volumes were at an all-time high where people were really shifting their purchasing and their buying habits to make sure that, you know, they could feed their families, that they weren't going to run out of food, and that they could get access to the products they love. So there's been a significant shift in terms of how we think about food our role in bringing food to people, bringing healthy food to people, making sure that we maintain access, and also really caring for and protecting our workers, because we have 3,500 employees in 14 manufacturing plants across the US. And so the safety protocols and the rapid sort of shift we had to make sure we were protecting our people has been incredible. And from the consumer side, consumers want to see product on shelf. So that has really been our main focus. The conversation is, thanks for making sure I can get my product, I can get my favorites to feed my family, especially for our allergen-focused consumers and the brands we provide in those spaces. So it has been an interesting time, and I imagine sort of rings true throughout the pet community as well, of people just wanting to feel safe and secure at home, that they have the basics they need to meet their family's needs.
Yeah, we all know the pet industry's experienced some pretty exponential growth during COVID. Caitlin, I'd love to invite you to this conversation. What are our chat members saying today?
Well, hi everyone, and thanks again, Deanna. I can remember years ago sitting in Louisville having breakfast at one of my favorite spots and just talking about the challenge of integrating sustainability internally and a lot of the custom work that you had done to really lead the effort right from the beginning, back when it was White Wave, before it was Danone. So really appreciate you joining us today. We've got some incredible questions coming in from the audience. I think I'll start with one that's really about the business case. So someone's wondering, have you been able to really quantify the impact on sales since becoming a certified B Corporation?
Yes, so as a whole, the data shows that B Corps grew 14% faster than peers in 2018. I haven't been able to track down that 2019 number yet, but we imagine it's quite consistent. So what that is looking at is the entirety of the B Corp consumer product goods category, and comparing it to the growth across the category of non-B Corp. So there's definitely data that's showing that purpose and work in these spaces is resonating. And is it the B Corp logo and consumer choice in choosing B Corp products? Probably not, because awareness of that logo is still pretty low. But is it the idea that when you're focused on all of your stakeholders, that you are meeting the needs and matching the values of your consumers, and more likely to capture growth through your business and your products directly? So definitely like to think that is playing a role. I also think it's offering a layer of stability from a growth perspective, because as the world around us changes, our governance and our, what we kind of refer to as our North Star, stays strong and consistent. So when we are faced with challenging business decisions, we have a really solid starting point from with which to begin.
All right, thank you so much for tackling that question as well. Lots more coming in from the chat box. So one question is, you have a lot of goals around wellness for your consumers and helping them to improve that. And how do you really track improvements when it's not something you can track internally as a business?
Yeah, excellent question. So what you see with our portfolio is flexibility. So we take a flexitarian type of mentality, that we want to meet the dairy consumers with as many options to meet the dairy consumers' needs. So 0% or fat-free or lactose-free, organic, non-organic, non-GMO, and similarly with plant-based offerings. If you choose not to partake in dairy, with Silk and So Delicious and our other brands, there's a ton of options and opportunities, from almond to soy to coconut to cashew. And so the approach that we take to wellness is really remembering that health and wellness is defined individually for each person. And so by offering a really diverse portfolio, we're able to meet consumers wherever they are. And then in terms of measuring and monitoring that, I think what we see is both growth in the category, what products are being most successful, and then really keeping the lines of communication open through a variety of insights work that we're doing, and looking for the successes and the trends and innovation to make sure that our products are matching sort of the wellness of the moment. So gluten-free offerings and kosher offerings and those types of things to stay on trend.
Great, thanks for that. All right, well, there's a very lively conversation going on around what people's favorite yogurt flavor is. So
Awesome.
that's been entertaining. Thanks everyone for participating in that. But lots more questions still coming in. So one question is around packaging. What efforts is Danone doing to try to manage how customers deal with your packaging after they consume some of your great products?
Absolutely. So this super practical answer is our partnership with How to Recycle. And this is a label that you will find on most of our packaging and continuing to roll out on additional packages. Every time we touch a package, we're committed to not creating waste in our packaging to get those logos on. But we think the How to Recycle label, if you're not familiar with it, it's through the Green Blue organization, Sustainable Packaging Coalition. You can get connected there. And what it does is it takes the guesswork out of recycling. So instead of trying to look at the little symbol on the bottom of your package and the guesswork of what number and what you do with it, How to Recycle labeling gives step-by-step instructions. So remove lid, empty contents, recycle, or replace lid and recycle so that we capture as much of the plastic as we can. And for multi-layer products, it'll have step-by-step instructions. And so this is it's pretty small. It doesn't take up too much real estate on Precious packaging, but that's a really important one because we want to help empower consumers to take the guesswork out and be able to participate. But we know that the overall packaging and circularity and recycling space is incredibly complex. We have a role to play as a manufacturer of single-use plastic. We also have an infrastructure in the US specifically, but globally, that does not support recycling and reuse at scale. So we have a significant program around circular packaging, where we are looking not just at how we design and the materials we use, but partnering with organizations like the US Plastics Pact, the Recycling Partnership, Ellen MacArthur Foundation, to create collective goals and coalitions to help transform that infrastructure and influence policy, which are two other pieces that need to happen in order to really impact the packaging space.
All right, well, it sounds like it's kind of a complicated answer, but really appreciate your focus on consumer labeling as well with the How to Recycle program. And the Pet Sustainability Coalition has been a longtime partner with Green Blue, the Sustainable Packaging Coalition, also that runs the How to Recycle labeling program. And they're working really hard on advancing in the pet industry, and we're helping them to pioneer that, especially, you're talking a lot about rigid containers here in the pet industry. We do use rigid containers, but also use a lot of flexible packaging. So trying to tackle the challenges with that and really just educating consumers through that labeling program as well. So great to hear about that partnership. Another question around supply chain. So wondering, how do you partner, with your suppliers to help meet your sustainability goals as well?
Yeah, so we take what we call a value chain approach. We see huge opportunity to create impact and transformation. And we have thousands of suppliers and they have thousands of suppliers. So we know that the opportunity here is really important. We also know, I think I mentioned, 2/3 of our footprint is actually in our scope 3 emissions, which means upstream and downstream out of our direct control. So it's critically important that we engage suppliers on a variety of topics because we have a lot of really robust goals and we depend on them to partner with us to achieve those goals. One of the ways is certainly through this lens of B Corp. Here's what's important to us. We would love if it's important to you. And really having that narrative with our suppliers. And we're actually incredibly excited. One of our largest dairies in the country just certified themselves, becoming the first certified B Corp dairy farm in the US. So there's a lot of opportunity to use that framework to help inspire and engage people on what is it we're trying to do and why. And then the other piece is how do we measure, monitor, and track? So there's auditing perspective. We use a variety of tools from compliance and focusing on the topics of human rights, all of the basic compliance principles and quality. And we're really lucky to have an incredible focus on quality and what we call quality and care to make sure that our suppliers not only are in compliance, are supported through compliance, but also know our sustainability principles, our environmental principles, and our social principles along the way.
All right. Well, thanks for that. So we've got a diversity of questions coming in. One is really about culture, right? So what is your role in leading sustainability at Danone to also integrate that culture within your internal employees and staff? And what does that look like for you?
Yeah, great question. It's one of the favorite topics and areas that we strive to lean into. And just from a personal perspective, sustainability should never be owned or championed by one person in the organization. The success of sustainability and the success of this type of stakeholder engagement is when it belongs to every person in the organization and they see their unique role in making us a more successful business, and their role in our BCorp certification or their role in a specific project or ingredient. And so culture building and engagement are huge. We have several groups, one called the Sustainability Champions and another called the Stubborn Climate Activists. And so we create a lot of different unique opportunities, from ideation to project management to things like Stubborn Climate Activists, which is what kind of commitment can you make tied to your job and our business objectives that really shows creativity and impact. So some really fun programs in that regard. We also encourage community engagement and volunteering, and with partner organizations, so that's a big piece. And then we look for those cultural moments. So one recently is I was fortunate to be able to champion a program around Danone Votes. Really important to have a completely nonpartisan initiative, but encouraging civic engagement and making sure our employees know that not only do we care, but we're going to take every step we can to make sure they can exercise their right to vote and get out into the community. So all sorts of great initiatives that come from that, but I would definitely say building that culture of ownership and building excitement and passion in others is what's going to make any sustainability program thrive, no matter what size business you have.
All right. So a couple more here. One is another question about metrics. So we talked about how do you measure progress toward wellness with your consumers. But also curious, how are you measuring progress toward a really hard subject like environmental justice issues and access to your products?
Absolutely. So I saw that topic coming out of the corner of my eye, and I was hoping we would address it. So as a global organization, we have several different ways that we're looking at environmental justice, also food justice, and social justice. So my hope and my goal is that we stop thinking about our environmental topics and our social justice or environmental topics, and we really approach it as one. What we know specifically about the US consumer is they are, I'm trying to think the best way to frame it, but they focus less than some of our European counterparts on sort of the core environmental issues. And if we can connect a US consumer to why they should care, how it impacts them, their community, local economics, local access, local justice topics and inclusivity topics, we get a lot farther. So shifting the environmental conversation from one of just pure climate change, I tend to say, like, we have to stop thinking about polar bears and melting ice caps and start thinking about community impact and coastal communities and marginalized communities and the way they're impacted by climate change, and completely shift the conversation. And I think we'll get a lot farther with our consumers specifically, and being able to make connections that they really care about. From a global level, we have some really innovative funds. I would encourage anyone who's interested to go take a look at. One is called the Livelihoods Fund, another is called the Ecosystem Fund, and the third is the Communities Fund. And this approach is a really great one from Danone, where we've invested money and co-invested with other organizations to create these funds, where if you have a business opportunity, a nonprofit opportunity, and a social or environmental impact, you can bring them together. So some of the examples of this are waste pickers, for example. So recycled plastic is valuable, but it's ending up in landfills or just away, and we can't bring it back. So by incentivizing and actually paying waste pickers and providing them safety gear, gloves and shoes, and make sure that there's a incredibly integrated system. We work with partners like Plastic Bank. So this is a social impact, a community building economy opportunity, and then bringing it back to, we need that plastic in order to meet our circularity goals. So we always look for opportunities to be sort of full circle, working with nonprofits, communities, and making impact. But the justice topic is definitely one that you'll see and hear more of. And I think we need to also continue driving consumer awareness and consumer demand to hold companies accountable, because it's a really powerful way to make change.
All right, great. Well, we only have time for about one more question. And I think the one that I'll go over is talking about the internal benefits as a B Corp and the external benefits of being a B Corp. So we talked about sales and how it relates to the market, but just wondering if you could share with us, do you think the value to Danone has really been more of an internal journey of having a structure from which you can build a sustainability program and really get everybody on board? And you talked about the value of it being everybody's responsibility. Or do you think, if you had to pick one, the value externally through, working with all of these other brands and collaborative marketing around one certification to really help encouraging voters, or I should say consumers, to vote, to be voters with their dollars? So if you had to pick one, which one would you pick?
Oh, that's a really mean question to have to pick one. I think any good program, you have to start internal with conviction, and then the results are going to follow. So while I think the community and the external is an incredible driver and of importance, I think when you really start to focus, and B Corp certification doesn't make you a different company. It helps illuminate the company that you are, your opportunity areas, what best practice can look like, and where you can really focus and transform. So I would say the opportunity to really start from what you have, identify your core purpose, identify what's most important to your employees and your consumers, and build your business. I truly, genuinely believe the sales and the growth and the collaborations will follow.
All right, thanks so much. We're going to head back to Melissa live in the studio. Over to you, Melissa.
Thanks for having me, everyone.
Well, Deanna, before you leave.
Oh, yeah.
I think we should add some context to all this discussion. What's your favorite flavor of your yogurt?
Oh, gosh. Favorite flavor of yogurt? I love our Wallaby Vanilla Bean, Aussie-inspired yogurt. Absolutely one of my favorites. I'm pretty excited about the Too Good lemon flavor that you'll start seeing on shelves in a few months. So definitely keep an eye out for that one.
I love it. Yeah, I can't wait to try that one. Well, thank you so much, Deanna, for your really inspiring words, and for Caitlin with your help with the chat box, and for all of you for being part of this really lively discussion.